Hello everyone, how are you all? This is your host Debottam and you are listening to Better You, Better Life, a self-improvement plan podcast, Season 1, Episode 13. Before we move on to today's episode, let us try to recap about what we have discussed in episode 12, that is previous episode. We discussed about how to start mantra chanting. We have discussed about different kind of ways on how we can adopt affirmations in our life and try to make our life more organized, more productive and more advanced towards our betterment. We discussed probable ways on how we can start our mantra chanting with 6 different tips. Those are pretty simple to adapt in our daily life, and all we need about self-awareness and some patience with ourselves. We discussed about number 1, reconnect with the purpose, that is why we are doing mantra chanting has to be aligned, has to be connected with your purpose for your long-term plan. Number 2 was starting it slowly and steadily in order to make it a part of your daily life activity to avoid fatigue and maintain consistency. We have discussed the number 3rd point is setting out a routine, finding a convenient time for yourself that works best for you and a place with no distractions. Which brought us to our 4th point is of eliminating distractions and so that we can focus with more intensity and it will not hinder our concentration. 5th point was seeking guidance. If we were new to mantra chanting, then we should try to seek guidance from someone more experienced, and that experienced may be in the form of a spiritual mentor or a teacher. It can be some kind of video or guided meditation. With the help of correct pronunciation, diction and meaning, we can make it more effective in our everyday life. Lastly, we discussed about be more consistent and patient, because consistency is the key when it comes to any kind of spiritual practice. Try to bring yourself in that rhythm by chanting regularly and enjoy benefits of it in the long term. With this initial thought, we move on to our today's episode. Before that, I want to give a small message of awareness. Like in India, it is now soaring heat waves in various parts of the country. Temperature is going down above 40 degree, and I hope all of you are taking good care of yourself and your dear ones. Once again, I want to remind all of us that we should keep ourselves hydrated, take lots of fluid, cover yourself properly when you go out there in the basking sun. Make sure that you don't go out without any strong reason or unless it is an emergency. And most importantly, try to stay indoors with emergency drugs available with you, especially with the elderly people with BP. Then heart strokes are happening everywhere and it is becoming very very consistent. My father is a heart patient, and his BP fluctuates a lot, so just take care of your elderly ones in your family and stay safe. With this note, let's try to find out what we have got this in today's episode. It's a very important realization that I'm having since morning, is that save the best for last. I hope you have heard this phrase. I repeat, save the best for last. It means you have kept your best skill, or you have kept a best trick which you know when it has to be unfold in a proper time, so that you became more successful, you become more valued? Let me break it down. The phrase which says save the best for last has been used for centuries and for making good reason. And there are many reasons why you should save the best for last. For example, it can be achieving success in a written exam, or it can be a work project where deadline is approaching and you know, if I unfold that pack of card from a deck of 52 card, then I will be successful. That is a unique trick which only you have with yourself, and that advantage is not available with other team members. It can be in a project, it can be a meal, or it can be a kind of an experience. Now, what I exactly mean with save the best for last? It leaves a lasting impression. Basically, these kind of phrases are more effective and useful in our workplaces. So I would try to connect it with my workplace or yours. It leaves a lasting impression. So when you save the best for last, it means that you are leaving a lasting impression on the people who experienced it. For example, you invite few people in a home housewarming party, for example, and it is not that entire meal that will keep them remember about you, but it can be that probable that delicious dessert you offer them by end of their meal, which will bound to make them think about you, because that was the best thing they had in that entire evening, in entire moment, which indicates that you have saved the best for last. It can be a powerful conclusion of a presentation. For example, you have made a presentation in front of a board members in your working place, and you have kept a trick unfolded or hidden at the very end part of it, because you know, because that is the key stroke which will help you attain a lasting impression on your board members, and which will help you in your career progress. Basically, in other words, that is what people will remember you the most for that reason. So it leaves a lasting impression. Another point of view can be like it builds anticipation. Now, what do I mean by this? Sometimes whatever we do in our everyday life, at a workplace or at any other area of life, it becomes boring, right? Sometimes you try to do something different. Now, you are good at that trait, and you just wait for that right moment to unfold your trick or unfold your talent. For example, I will take the example of the game of cricket, or let's say in case of motorsport, for 35 rallies, for 35 rounds in motorsport, you were in second position and you were nicely tracking the person who is going in the first position. Now suddenly when the final lap comes up, you do something very different that the person who is ahead of you might not know. So maybe you put a paddle of nitros, or you might do some kind of calculation that brings you ahead of your opponent, which helps you in winning the race, and eventually people will remember you for that last minute extra effort which you have done. Not clear yet, I hope. Okay, let's try to make it more simple. So it tried to help you build anticipation and excitement. So even if in a movie, right, if a story is very plain and its a plot is predictable, people will lose interest in it. So audience always like excitement. Always people like to see what is unique about that film or what is unique about that activity. So if you are able to create a sense of anticipation that whatever has gone is gone, but what is gonna be the next step or what is gonna be the next scene in a movie, that keeps the audience binded, and because of that scene only people will remember that movie for a long time. For example, I remember the movie Titanic because of its last moment scene when they try to save so many number of peoples, and then that lady which narrates the entire story. So people will be eager to see what comes next, and this can create a sense of anticipation and make the experience even better. Then it also creates a sense of accomplishment. Now you know that you have really worked hard for that much needed presentation. Before the deadline, you have worked your day and night, you have burned midnight oil. So it can be incredibly satisfying to save the best for last. It creates a sense of accomplishment because you have done so much of hard work in making that presentation successful in front of your board members. So if you unfold your best talent in that right time, it will definitely help you in moving up in the career progress, making you more successful, and that will help people to remember you as a sense of accomplishment and pride that you took in your work. Another way of looking at it, as it is a great way to motivate yourself. So when you know you have something great to look forward to, it can be a great motivator. Whether it's a reward at the end of a long project or it's a fun experience to celebrate a milestone, it can always help you to stay focused and motivated because you know you have something unique in yourself which others don't have, and they value you for you having that unique talent only, which makes them dependent on you. And you know, if you are able to implement, or if you are able to make that work for you, then definitely it will help you stay focused and motivated. So saving the best for last is a great way to create memorable experience, build anticipation, and create a sense of accomplishment and keeping yourself motivated. So the next time you start unpacking your best talent, skill, experience, be careful about your surrounding and make sure it is visible to the right people at the right time concerned. One should not be ignorant enough to miss this trait, because you know that you have a good talent, you have to show it in the right time. Now once the right time is gone, and after that if you start unpacking your best talent, then it might be possible that people may not value that talent because they don't need that anymore. So before the validity is gone, start showing yourself by proving that you are unique. One should not be over ambitious to expose himself with his best version in front of others, thereby inviting miserability in life. Now another thing happens, that in the excitement that you believe that you have something unique to prove and you have something unique that others don't have, in order of exposing yourself in the excitement, you tend to do it before that right time begins or right time arrives. And in the process it might happen that other people might think that you are trying to be smart, or you think that you are superior than your peers, and that time it might happen that others may not value your uniqueness and thereby they will make your life miserable. So one needs to be little bit careful about it. If you agree with me in the above points, and if you really relate with it, I hope this episode is helpful to you. I wish all of you a lot of success in your life, and if you think this episode has been helpful, try out all of these simple things and it will help you out in your long-term career success. Before signing off, let me repeat what I have discussed about this concept. Saving the best for last phrase, it have 4 or 5 kind of perceptions which I have discussed. It might leave a lasting impression on what you do at the right time in the last moment. It also builds anticipation. People will be excited to know what is going to happen next, which normally happens in movie or it normally happens in some kind of sport, professional sport. It also creates a sense of accomplishment. When you are able to do it successfully with your uniqueness, then you can take pride in your work and people will remember you and your value will increase. And it is also another great way to motivate yourself. So when you know that you have something unique, so that's the secret weapon you have and you can use it to your advantage, and this can be a very good motivator for you in the long term. At the same time, we also discussed few red flags that you should know when to apply your uniqueness at right place in front of right people. It shouldn't be so late when your uniqueness is no longer needed. At the same time, you should be careful enough to utilize your unique skill not before the right time arrives. Thereby, in excitement, you do it and you invite miserability in your life. Till then, enjoy yourself, be happy. This is Debottam signing off.